It's going. So I'm assuming that's the camera then. So just go over there and just see us all.
See us all?
Yeah. Yeah, us all. That's right. See us all. Okay. Okay. And I'm watching the clock. I can start it at a certain time, so don't worry.
Okay.
So I'm watching the clock. So I'm going to go for just like close to 10 minutes.
Okay.
But we have to have discussion because I don't know that I have anything to say for 10 minutes.
Let's do it.
Okay, good. Okay, so thank you, kindergartners and TKers. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So for 5th grade, so far we have found that Engage New York is an amazing program for us. And like I said in our staff meeting, this is for real. Like I said in our staff meeting, I think that one of the things that we might have been missing in this school for quite a long time is not friendship. But what it is a foundation that we are all working on that same foundation. And I think that's part of the problem, that when we get up to the upper grades, that's why we're having to teach so much, and why I said my foundation kind of felt like it was crumbling. So the idea that we may all come together as an entire school and teach the same program would be absolutely amazing, because then there are the gaps, the big giant gaps. So I wanted to share. So this is the math, and I purposely brought module 1 for Engage New York for the math, so that you could see how easy it can be to teach it. And that's for TK and for K. And the manipulatives that you can purchase, or the manipulatives that you can have the kids made, they are so easy. In 5th grade, we have them for place value disc. We have them draw a circle, and we don't use the actual manipulatives that go with any of this. But when this was the book, this is the book. This was my module 1. This is the book that we decided. This is the book that we decided to create rather than buying the program. This is what we decided to create, because then I could make my book any way that I wanted.
Where did you
And
get the information from? Online?
everything is online, and I just downloaded all of it. And yes, it did take a considerable period of time to press print.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly because I did it on my own, and so my printer would form lines in my print if I did more than 20 pages at a time. But when I looked at this and I saw, oh my goodness, look at what these kids, and the way that Engage New York teaches it, look at what these kids will be able to do by the end of it, and it spells it all out completely for you. So your thinking comes in for what's appropriate for my kids in my own personal class, what's going to be the best thing for them, and then am I going to teach it exactly as it states in here? Or am I going to use what I know of my own kids, and use what they have for the model, and then also add in whatever it is that I personally need to. But to put the other program away and just go in this direction. So I wanted you to see how I decided to set it up. So they have individual lessons that are in here. These they call the sprints and templates. That's for the kids, so I did those separately so that I can copy those.
What do the sprints entail? I mean, what is that?
So a sprint is in the Engage New York site for the teacher practice. It says that these should be about 8 minutes, and it's a paper that you give their time tests. But the idea is you're never going to look at it. The idea is you're going to give an A and a B, and the idea is so that A is where they just start, and you say, I'm just going to put on the timer and go ahead and try and solve this, and whatever it is for kindergarten, go ahead and try and solve this. And that for you afterwards to go back over it and just ask them if they see a pattern, because every single one of the sprints has a pattern in it, and there isn't a lot of math for them to do. Instead, there is math, like here's 34 times 10. There is math to do, but they almost don't have to if they recognize that math is patterns. And so once they see the pattern, they zoom through this. And then there's a sprint B, and the whole goal is, were you able to do one more than you did for A? That's it. So it's all student-centered, and it is all, you're not going to look at it. It's all based on what they feel comfortable in doing. And they're competing against themselves, and that's even in kindergarten.
So A and B would be done same day?
Yeah, right,
Okay.
one right after another.
Okay.
So what I've done is I gave them a sleeve, transparent sleeve and had them put it inside the sleeve and then write on the sleeve. And then that way, these can be reused over and over. If you want to give them A again the very next day, yep, yep. You can give it to them the very next day again. So that's what the sprint is. There are only a few templates, but those templates are, maybe they're number lines, maybe they're counters. So that's what the templates are, and those for the kids as well. Then there's the actual work for the kids.
Sprint is like a warm-up.
Sprint is a warm-up. Yep. Then there are the actual problem sets for the kids. That's what you would have in your textbook. This is their work. This is what they work on. This is either independent. We all like to do it as group work instead. So it's independently within a group because the group can decide, they can discuss. And the way that they have this on here for their problem set is my students now know the word scaffold because number 1 on the page, number 2 on the page, everything is scaffolding up to the final. And once you get to the exit ticket in their problem set, that exit ticket is a combination of all of the problem set, and if they can do the exit ticket, they got the entire purpose of the lesson. They understood it. So for differentiation then, you can go straight to the exit ticket if you think that your kids are understanding, or you can use the exit ticket for a quiz. That's a possibility too, that's all up to you. And then there is homework, so that you can give them, we give them a study guide, and this is what we're covering during the week, so it's a weekly study guide. This is what we're covering. There are assessments, and every bit of it is online. There are assessments, and here's my answer key for everything. But back to the teacher portion of it, for the lessons, it tells you what your standard is, tells you how many days this should work, and then it also tells you in here what you can skip. So it tells you that you can skip lesson number 13 or lesson number 18 or combine these lessons because they're just reinforcements of the next piece. But for each one of these lessons, it tells you what sprint to use. It helps you what you're going to do with a choral response, or whether they're going to do this as a group or whether they're going to do it independently. And then it tells you what it is that you're teaching. The application problem is my absolute favorite. And in the very beginning, I was writing these out and giving them to the kids. And they would work in a group because now you have to apply what we're working on right now, but you do this as a group. And now I just read it and ask them to tell me what was the most important thing that I just said. So if this one says Farmer Jim keeps 12 hens in every coop, what's important about that? And they now know to be able, this is a way they can dissect a word problem. They know to tell me 12 hens. It doesn't matter that it's hens, or could it have been turtles? So we don't even care that it's hens, we care that it's 12. And it teaches them how to dissect what's important, what's not important in this. And this is charted, and this is walls that you can do as well. They chart it, yep, and then they share. So all the CGI things where they're talking about the sharing, it's sharing of this application problem. It's perfect for that.
What are the drawbacks of the engagement graph then?
What are the what?
Drawbacks.
That there's a lot. So right now I'm in module 3, which is all about fractions, and there are lessons, probably 30 lessons on just one area that are almost all the same. So that's where your differentiation comes in for your students.
They get it, move on.
Move on. But there is, besides that's all still warm up. And then you go to the concept. This is what we're learning today. So this is all drawing on what you know. Now this is what we're learning today. And there are pages of that for you with a variety of whole group that you can do. And then you go to it, the problem sets, that's the independent work or small group work. Then you debrief on what that work was. You go to that exit ticket, so that's how we know that they really understood what that whole lesson was about. And then if you choose to use the homework, you can use the homework. But the whole thing, that's like my kids would do for a video as well. So, twirl model.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what all of math is. ELA is a little bit different from what we've seen. But they have very specific language that they use. And rather than in 5th grade, us having to teach that language, if we're all coming up with the same language, then my goodness, all we're teaching are the concepts. We're teaching the math for the grade level because they've heard these words before. So a tape diagram, we're teaching that for the very, very first time. I had to learn what it was. I had no idea. I had to master what it was. I had no idea. But tape diagrams start in kindergarten. And so we would be using it all the way up, and they get a variety of ways to do something. Just exactly what CGI has been talking to us about, a variety of ways to do the same thing. So it's differentiation for those kids, it's differentiation for their personal thinking as well.
And there's
Yeah, I think we're
also
good.
a lot of, I saw a lot of examples on Pinterest. So there's all these boards of
There- yeah.
Engage New York for all grades.
Yeah.
That they actually see the crafts and, put together, so.
There is so much that is available for resources for you. There is so much.
Now that she's turned it
Yeah,
off,
okay.
I'm gonna answer your question of the draw.
I think I did.
Just
Let
press
me-
okay, but it
Oh, I
doesn't
will
matter.
tell